Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Valvoline and Sparesbox. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. This week, we've got the trusty steed back in the shop, Gian's Impreza. We're going to be doing a few upgrades on it to maintain the functionality of it and to remove all of this stuff in the back. So we're going to be fitting a tow bar because Gian's moving house, so he needs a box trailer. We're also going to be fitting a bike rack to that tow bar, and we're going to be doing a few little things with the bike rack because 95% of bike racks in the country are illegal, and we're going to discuss why that is a little bit later. But we're going to dive in, we're going to fit this tow bar, we're going to wire it up, and we're going to do some other stuff as well because this thing needs a bit of love and it's done a lot of Ks, and Gian's been to the snow 3 times this month, jerk. So let's chat, more tow bar, let's do it. Snickers really satisfies. Oh, wrap me Snickers. Hello, tow bar, my old friend. This brings back memories. This was my first dealership job, was fitting accessories to cars, and these Imprezas were like still new when I was a poor little dealership kid doing oil changes for $6 an hour. Oh, I got PTSD now. Dirt. You know what I should be doing right now? I should be at drag week. Sad times. I should be braking my car right now because that seems to be what everyone's doing this year at drag week. Nailed it. Whoa, this has never been in a rear end accident. It's not supposed to look like that, bro. Nailed it. That's the wrong size. Well, at least if you don't go to drag week, you can't blow your car up. You know what the insulting part is? The boat has been sitting 400 meters offshore in Houston since the 4th of September. And it's now the 20th today. And it's due for unload in 5 days. So I literally sat there for 21 days offshore within walking distance. 2023 is gonna go off. Sick week, we're coming for you. What have you even got in there, bro?
Oh, lots of stuff.
Like dirt?
Yeah.
And
I keep
that's where you keep your 5-cent pieces,
yeah.
Is it? Oh, yeah, this guy's on too much money, just stashing his 5 cents away. Bruh, like,
the treasures.
Bruh, what even? Evidently. That's a dealership job if ever I've seen one. Just send your Stanley knife through the grommet so it's nice and not watertight anymore. To be fair, I probably would have done that on $6 an hour too, so. The things you realise when you're older and maturer, that's a word now, look it up. More dirt. So you're gonna take your charcoal canister out, just to do the job. It will be going back in, relax Captain Planet. Yummy. Nothing else, at least all the dirt's out from under your car now. It's conveniently stored on my face. Remember to check all the bolts you tighten with an impact gun, people. We don't always show it, but we do always do it. The title of my sex tape. Click.
Is this the new tow point?
Yeah. So that's, no, that's where you put the safety chains. So you've still got, they've like there's a hole cut in the bracket there. Right. So you still retain the original sort of tow point. There's not one here anymore, but I really don't think you need one on either side of the car at the back, in addition to the tow bar.
Obviously with the bike spanning from one side to the other, will it cover those lights?
I'm thinking I might even put a brake light, get one of the brake light, tail light combo with the number plate light. Just cleaning the thread, people. Oh. This rattle gun's here to party. You know what I will do though? I'm gonna clean this face because this tow bar's been loose, and see how it's galled that face. So when we put the bike rack in there, it's not going to sit neat on that. Something that's overlooked or missing from a lot of tow bars these days, especially second-hand ones, is this bolt. So this actually stops the tow bar tongue rattling around in the receiver, because a lot of these tow bars, especially in Australia, they may have stock material, so you may not get a really snug fit. So this particular bolt basically goes in the side of the tow bar and it locks the tow bar tongue in, and it stops it bouncing around and rattling and doing all those annoying tow bar things. So if you do have a slapping tow bar, this is definitely the first thing to look for. There is another style of some Heyman Reese receivers where they've got a through bolt instead of just a retaining pin, and that actually locks on the side of the tow bar. I have seen those wear the teeth down before, so every now and then you kind of got to re-weld them up. My Ute's actually one of those ones, and it has done it once before, so I've re-welded that up, and it's worked pretty well since. But yeah, to stop these things rattling, definitely put one of these bolts in if you've already got provision for it. You would have seen us before cleaning the thread on that. It was already drilled and tapped, but it was pretty rusty. It's obviously not had that bolt for quite some time. And it is worth fitting the locking nut as well, rather than just winding the bolt in, because it can hammer that bolt out. So yeah, we're going to be fitting that today when we put the tongue in. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was talking about before, how that's not super snug. So that pin being in there, it doesn't stop any of that. You don't want to have excessive tension on that bolt either though, because then the whole weight of either the bike rack or the trailer ends up sitting on that. Basically just nip it up till it touches. A little bit of movement's not bad. And then just lock it off.
And that slight noise is from the hoist, not the...
Yeah, that's the hoist rattling at that point, so. I can't even do it. Stop hoist. Yeah. Imagine that there's no noise. It's not stupid hoist and it's ruining the audio. I've just cleaned the thread up because we are going to use thread locker on this. Typically these things can rattle loose. Even myself have been victim of a loose tow ball. Luckily we caught it before it came off, but yeah, these things can be pretty catastrophic if they do come undone. So yeah, we're going to be putting a bit of red thread locker on that one today. The other thing you probably saw me do was actually grind a bit of a lead on this thread. One thing I noticed taking it apart, it was pretty bad to come off right at that end there. It was burred, so it's either been hit possibly with a rock, or maybe someone's tried to jack the car up off of it previously. So yeah, grinding that little lead or taper on that just allows the nut to start much more freely, and you're not going to run into issues of either picking up or galling a thread that way. So yeah, just little things to kind of help you progress with your project. Depending on what it is, you can definitely clean up bolts and save a lot of stuff, rather than going down to your local hardware shop and using the wrong grade of hardware, because there's plenty of hardware spec out there that doesn't suit automotive use. So yeah, it is worth keeping in mind, or trying to retain the original OEM bolts where possible. We've reused all the OEM bolts today, putting the tow bar in. Funnily enough, the supplier of the tow bar actually gave us the bolts as well. So yeah, that was pretty handy to get those bolts if you were going to do the job in a car that didn't have them for whatever reason. But yeah, in our particular case, we've reused the bolts already in this car, because Jian's car, the tow point and the exhaust hangers were already using those bolts. So yeah, today we're sorted, but yeah, keeping in mind, if you're going to buy these sort of things secondhand, like in the instance of Ford Falcons, they don't use existing bolts that are in the car, so it's handy to get all of those bolts when you're trying to put something into a car that didn't already have it. Thread locker red. Put the goo on. Okay, it fits. Click. Now you've got to empty out your secret stash. Oh my God, as if you'd ride Maxxis tires, derp. Oh wow. Are you living in this car? Somewhat. Wow, you've got a spare drive shaft in here. You are prepared. Oh, this whole thing's full of junk because there's no spare wheel in here anymore. Junk. Sure, righto.
This is the special edition that doesn't have the plug.
Yeah, the rare JDM version. that doesn't have a tow bar provision. Well, that's the length, so I'm gonna go with it's in here somewhere. I'd really love, even if there is a plug, if it's just like in a different spot. Yeah, I reckon I'll just join it into this. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's a lot easier to get to this wiring here than it is to get to the back side of it. All it will mean is this loom won't come out of the car anymore, but it literally just unclips from the tail light anyway, so not a massive deal breaker for me if it's not for you. So I might explain what's actually gone down here. It's become a little bit more of a complex install than we had originally anticipated. The donor car that this tow bar came from, it's an 07 Impreza. I think what's happened is in the later models, Subaru's actually put this connector in the harness, so it's a plug and play tow bar install. Unfortunately, the 04, 05 cars don't seem to have that same connector. We've just pulled the whole boot trim apart and there's nothing that even looks remotely close to that. So we've pulled the tail lights out and wired some 7-core into the car. We've run the 5 cores to the lights, and then there's 2 single strands of wire just tucked away in the boot space, so that if we do need to run extra wires to the drawbar for whatever reason, we've got that option there. But this loom we're basically just going to take out of the connector now and wire this directly to it. This wire is actually a bit better. It's a bit more durable than this old flat stuff, so sometimes this stuff sort of snaps and can cause you dramas. So we're going to basically strip this thing apart now and put it all together, and it'll be happy days. So we'll keep on going. Now I've just used a soldering iron, and that's not really something you're ever going to see normally on the channel. However, the reason that I've tinned the end of these wires is because they all go into barrels with screws in them. And if I wasn't to tin those wires, there's every chance that when the screws are tightened down, you're going to crush that the core section of the wire, which may result in a lot of broken strands. Trailer wiring, or trailer plugs I should say, always have a lot of issues with broken wires and that sort of stuff. So I find that a good little trick is to just tin all of these wires before you do screw them into the connector. There's no reason to try and solder it into that connector. You'll probably actually melt the pins out of the connector if you overheat it too much. But yeah, that works really well. And the other thing to keep in mind is to make sure that you refit the strain brace in this connector so that the wires aren't constantly being pulled on. That's even more important on the trailer side as well, which we're going to make one of them in a minute. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're putting your trailer connectors together to tin the wires. It'd be nice to actually get one that sits further back. Oh, get out.
No way.
Ah, fresh.
Not a chance.
All right, cool. That's a win.
That's crazy.
Oh, well, maybe that one is good after all.
Yeah.
Something I touched on a little bit earlier, I did mention briefly that most of the bike racks installed in Australia are actually illegal. The reason being is that they obscure number plates. So a lot of people I see on the road actually just leave their number plate where it is, which can give you a pretty nasty fine. I think in New South Wales, the fine for obscuring a number plate is like $300 or something. So it's a fair chunk of money. That being said, these auxiliary number plates are, at least in New South Wales anyway, about $48. So in my opinion, a good spend. This one is for a car which doesn't exist anymore, so we don't need that one. But the other issue that 95% of people never actually do is put a number plate light on the bike rack, because you do need to actually have your number plate visible at night. So today we're actually going to fit one of these combination tail lights. So this is actually a tail light, a brake light, and a number plate light in one. It's the most compact unit I can actually find. So basically going to fit it straight on the end here, and we're going to make a cable that plugs directly into the trailer socket so that there's no wiring and it's 100% removable. We're going to actually attach it to the top part of the bike rack so that when you lift off the rack to get your bike off, the plate and the light go with it, so that you don't have to try and feed a bike frame over the number plate in the case that you may run into if you were to mount it on the bottom half of the bracket. So we're going to keep chipping away. We're actually going to mount the primary number plate on here today, but we are going to order an auxiliary plate so that we can put the primary plate back in that spot and then just have these two running separately without having to change back and forward day to day. But we're going to keep on trucking. Just so it doesn't pull through, because there's no strain protection on that. We've got Gian's bike all mounted, the wiring's all in, the lights actually work, believe it or not, so it turns out I can wire stuff okay. No rattles from the installation. Turns out his upper pivot's flogged and the headset bearings are yucky and the pedal bearings are dry AF. We're going to have some lunch, then we're going to turn this thing around and change the oil, then we're going to go for a ride. See ya! Did not spill the oil.
Yep.
Shh. Don't need your negativity. Does the sun plug in?
Yes, I do record this.
Gotcha. And now we're even. Well, that's another day knocked out on the workhorse. This thing's definitely earned its keep. Gian's done hundreds of thousands of kilometers in this thing. Not actually, but he's racked up the Ks. So pretty much every time you see it, we do an oil change because I like to do most cars, including Subarus, every 5,000 Ks. These 2.5s are notorious for burning oil. So yeah, more often than not, the 12,500 kilometer factory recommended service interval, by the time these have some Ks on them, isn't enough. They burn oil and they can run big end bearings pretty commonly. A lot of people unfortunately don't check their oil level, and yeah, it results in thousands of dollars of engine repair or replacement or a combination of both. But same old thing I say all the time, oil's cheaper than an engine. Got all the back end stuff done today, the tow bar's on, got all the electrical done. I've also got the bike rack on with the number plate light and everything sorted. Gian's already now ordered a auxiliary number plate, so that'll go on it sooner or later. We'll whack that on or off camera or whatever next time it turns up. But yeah, got it all sorted and we're gonna go for a pedal. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.